So in this video, we're going to look at the Instructor app and how to use the Instructor app. Before I log in, just a little word as regards how the app works. When we first log in, the app will contact the link server and it will update all the data that you need to undertake the training during the day onto your mobile phone. So let's just go through the login process now and see that we get through to that point. So we've got two-factor authentication enabled, so I need to enter a texted code into the authentication code window here. Okay, so once we've logged in successfully, we need to set a PIN. That's the quickest way to lock your app during your day. And you can see immediately our data refreshes onto our device. Now, the way the system works, it's not meant to continually talk to the server and continually pull data to your device. The best way to look at this is that it will refresh your data when you first log in, and it will then check back with the server when you get through to the course completion stage and check that the server has received all the data that you've been recording. If you need to refresh any data because, let's say, you've got to a school and perhaps 3 consents are missing, those additional consents have come in, then you need to return to the home screen and hit the refresh data button here at the top, and that will ensure that your device has the latest data on it. So we need to select our training delivery first that we're actually going to work with. So I'm going to click through here and select this particular delivery here, and you can see that we've got 3 consents for this training delivery at the present time. Now, on this screen, we've got delivery details. So which school are we delivering at? Who are the instructors that are available on that delivery and their contact information, the school contact information, and the venue contact as well. Obviously, this is test data that's been added here. Also notice, sorry, back on that delivery screen that I added a test note when I set the event up. So any notes, so that could be notes regarding break times, school closing times, any other issues that instructors need to be aware of can be added by the training provider and will appear here. If we go back a screen, I've got a list now of all riders. So this is for the purpose of doing a register at the start of the course, and if you want to see individual rider information, you can click on a rider, see emergency contact information for the parents, whether they've got permission for photography, can cycle, but and cycling ability as well. However, we've got some handy icons that say whether or not there's information that's been added, so we can view the key there, so we can see whether consent's received, or it's been withdrawn, whether somebody's expected but not present, i.e. absent, send notes to be aware of, medical issues to be aware of, if a note's been added by a teacher or a parent, whether or not photography is allowed, whether the rider can't ride, and whether the rider doesn't have a bike. So you can see we've only got a couple of notes in terms of SEND information for these 2 riders. If the quickest way, if we've got a big list of riders, to actually view all the important information regarding SEND and medical issues is to look at the rider report summary. This will bring all the information into a single view with any riders that have issues that you need to be aware of. Okay, we talked about rider characteristics when we originally set courses up, and there were a number of options. So one option was to capture rider characteristics during the consent process. Another option is to add those characteristics later on. So the training provider can either do it via the training delivery screen on link, or if you're at a school as a lead instructor and wish to collect the characteristics for the riders whilst you're at school, you can edit it using this function here. So I'm going to add some characteristics now for the trainees that I'm working with. And we can save that information. Okay, and that information will feed back to link now and will populate for the training delivery. What we have here is instructor notes. So if we need to add any notes regarding riders whilst we're training, they will appear under the instructor notes function, and you will see there'll be an icon highlighting if there are any new notes to read whilst you're undertaking the delivery, and if somebody's added a note. So there's nothing there at the present time because no one's added a note. And we could do so we can add a new note. So it can either be rider specific or it can be a general note. So we've not selected any riders yet for our training delivery, so actually we can only leave a general note at the present time. Need to close that and not save it. Okay, let's talk about training. So to undertake the training, the first thing we need to do is to select the riders that we're training. So we've selected a level 1 course. Which riders are we training for this level 1 course? So I can select my riders, then update my selection there, and that takes us through to the training screen. So as I mentioned earlier, if there are any notes regarding specific riders, then they would appear there in the notes field. So if we go down and we can add an instructor note now and add a note. This might be a handover note for another instructor that's taking over later in the day. So he would then see that there are notes available. So we've added a note for Adam. We get a confirmation screen at the top that that's been added, and you can see there's a highlight that there are notes available now there. And we've got a few options under each individual rider. Mostly we won't need to use them except in certain circumstances. So normally we can undertake all the training through the training button, and likewise for the survey and the feedback and then the course completion. But there may be cases where we need to review rider details. We may need to provide some immediate information regarding cycle and kit check. So if we click on that button, we can write a note again. So Adam may have a problem with his front brake and it might need a new cable. So when I save that, what that will do is send that feedback directly to the parents so that they know to resolve that issue. Okay, likewise, if we withdraw a rider, we can withdraw a rider from the course and provide immediate feedback to the parents as regards to the withdrawal. That's particularly important if we've got a rider that's perhaps doing a 2-day course and they're not coming back to do day 2, and you want to make sure that the right information gets home to the parents in a timely manner. Okay, so I'm going to move on now so we can see the basic functions there. We've got rider withdrawn. We know how to view rider details. We can individually do training and feedback, but that's there as an option if you want to go back and change something just for one rider, but mostly you're best to use the buttons at the bottom here. So we should do that now. So I'm just going to minimize that and then going to start the training process. Training is entirely by exception, so we can record everyone has been able to do something on their own, and then perhaps one rider is struggling to do that. We can then change the answer for one rider. So we're going to complete a couple of things so we can all check our cycle is ready for the training, and then perhaps setting off and stop. Everyone's good except for Cherry that needs to practice a little bit more. And then perhaps all riders can pedal on their own, but also perhaps Cherry struggled to ride at all and she's struggled to set off, needs more practice, and perhaps she's not even been able to achieve that. So it may be that you answer not seen there. Not seen as a function could also be used. Let's say you have a trainee that's completed part of the training but not all of it, but you still want to provide some feedback for them, so you can record the activities that they have done as actually being seen and with one of the grading criteria, and then for anything that the rider hasn't completed, mark it as not seen and still give feedback at the end of the training. So I'm going to mark down Cherry's assistance for that activity. So we have options to jump straight through now. So we've done the training, we could go straight through to rider feedback. If it's a level 1, it may be that everyone's done really well and I want to give the same feedback to all riders. So I can select all riders, tick the box that applies, but perhaps Cherry needs a little more practice. So she needs to practice taking her hand off the handlebars and she needs to practice looking behind without wobbling. We can then save that feedback. So the next step that we need to complete is actually the survey. We've done the training for our trainees and recorded the outcomes. We've recorded some feedback. So finally, we need to undertake the rider survey. So we can record the answers here. If a rider is absent because they've been withdrawn partway through the course, you can record the answers for those that were present, then mark one rider as absent as needs be. Okay, so in a methodical fashion now, we've done the training, we've done the feedback, we've recorded the hands up survey for our riders. All that's left to do now on this course is to check and complete the delivery. So if we click the check and complete button, we will get a list here now that shows that we've recorded outcomes for all of those riders. Again, we've got a checklist here, so we can see C is course complete, F for feedback complete, S for survey complete. We've got the outcomes, and we've got a red cross if something hasn't been recorded. You can disable that pop-up once you're familiar. If we need to expand the names of the riders, we simply click on the rider names. But obviously, they can get a quick view there and get a view across the outcomes. So you can see we've got survey, feedback, we've got outcomes. So we can literally go on and complete the training now. Just wait for a moment for that training to complete. So that is a level 1 complete for those riders. If we're then going to go on and do our level 2 course, then we will have a very similar process. So again, register, select the riders. You can see 2 flagged on our summary reports that we need to be aware of. Select our riders here, update. Now we can see there's a note pertaining to a rider, and then there's Adam is struggling to signal. That's one of our notes. And then we're straight into the same process again. So we can click on training first of all. All riders can do it on their own. Picking on poor Cherry here, but I just wanted to show that how quick it is to record answers for all riders and then just change 1 or 2 riders where we need to do so. Okay, so that's the training done. Let's do the feedback again. So we can select all riders from positive statements. And we can, anyone that needs of the specific feedback can have that feedback. Then finally, we just need to do the survey for those 3 riders, slightly different questions. The level 2 course and the level 1. And save our survey results. So same process as before, go through to our check and complete button. We can see that we've got feedback, survey results, we've got outcomes for all of our riders. We can expand the names of the riders again to see that, and then we can complete the training for those riders. Okay, so that's done. Let's just talk about a few of the other functions in the app then. So if we want to see all deliveries at any time, we can click on the calendar button here. If we want to lock our app, we can lock the app. The padlock button there, that locks with a pin. When we log back in, it'll return to the home page and refresh the data automatically at that point in time. Okay, we also have a function here to change our password, which would change our main password for link. We can change the PIN that we're using. We can do a complete log out of the app. So a complete log out, we need to be sure that we've submitted our data back to the server and completed our outcomes and completed our course for our trainees before we do a complete log out, because a complete log out of the system will purge all data from your device. Now, one other function we've got here is we've enabled an offline mode for the app. So the time to use this mode is if you are delivering at a school where you think you have no or extremely poor mobile signal and may struggle to retrieve and send data regarding the training delivery. My advice in those circumstances would be to log into the app before you get there whilst you've got good signal. That will download all of the data to your device. Once that data is on your device, you can then enable offline mode and record the outcomes, feedback and survey information for the riders whilst you're on site. What you will then need to do is make sure that you're back somewhere where you have got good signal, be it Wi-Fi or mobile signal. Go back online before you can go through the check and complete process. Now, the rationale for including this offline mode is the fact that if we're in a location where we've got poor signal, but we still have some signal, then the app will try and send data. And if it's trying to send data with an extremely poor signal, it may slow down the functioning of the app. So we've put the option in there to turn off all the data feeds if needs be. And that is pretty much a view of the app as it stands at the moment and taking course through from start to completion.